The fact that Mexico is the home of the 5 most well-known drug gangs shouldn't be shocking. After all, the Guadalajara Cartel, which Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo established in the 1980s, was the originator of all drug trafficking in Mexico and along its border with the United States, earning him the nickname the Godfather. The Sinaloa Cartel, Tijuana Cartel, Juarez Cartel, and Gulf Cartel are some of the biggest and most well-known drug gangs in the world, along with the Guadalajara Cartel. It is not difficult to understand why these cartels have persisted under their own names or others, despite deaths, captures, and incarcerations, given that drug trafficking is the world's most lucrative criminal commerce operation. The Guadalajara Cartel, Sinaloa Cartel, Tijuana Cartel, Juarez Cartel, and Gulf Cartel are 5 of the most well-known drug cartels in the world, and they will continue to be so for a very long time because they have strong leaders who are supported by an internal criminal network of the world's most violent leaders. Welcome to the channel, to the world of everything related to the global underworld. Let's learn more by diving in. Ready? Let's go. Each year, hundreds of people die in Mexico's horrific drug war as strong trafficking organizations compete for territory and power. These cartels rule over major portions of the nation and are also accountable for political corruption, murders, and kidnappings. But which organizations are the most potent? The Sinaloa Cartel. Territory? Much of the Northwest. It was established in the late 1980s, and for many years Joaquin El Chapo Guzman served as its leader. El Chapo, often known as Shorty, was once considered one of the richest men in the world. Numerous books and television shows have been produced about his life and enormous drug trafficking business. The cartel developed a fierce reputation for violence under his leadership and defeated several adversaries. Mexican cartels frequently engage in conflict with one another, but it is important to note that they also are capable of forming partnerships. During Guzman's protracted leadership, the Sinaloa reportedly became the main supplier of illegal drugs to the U.S., according to officials. Members of competing criminal organizations were kidnapped, tortured, and killed by the cartel. It also had access to a sizable inventory of weapons, including Guzman's personal gold-plated AK-47 and a rocket-propelled grenade launcher. But after one of the most well-publicized trials in modern U.S. history, the drug kingpin was given a life term in jail in July 2019. According to the prosecution, Guzman ran a network of dealers, kidnappers, and assassins while trafficking cocaine, heroin, and marijuana. As other gangs tried to profit from his imprisonment, there was further bloodshed in the area. The Sinaloa cartel is still incredibly powerful in spite of this. It reportedly has a presence in places ranging from Buenos Aires to New York and continues to rule the northwest region of Mexico. According to experts, it also keeps smuggling illegal drugs into the US, Europe, and Asia for billions of dollars. The cartel is thought to be largely controlled by Guzman's son, Ovidio Guzman Lopez, with its longtime leader now in prison. In October 2019, when the younger Guzman was taken into custody by the police, Sinaloa cartel thugs were quick to show off their formidable military prowess. Before their leader was eventually let free, they staged a prison break, lit vehicles on fire, and engaged in open-air street skirmishes with the army. It was evidence that the organization is still a very potent force. The Jalisco New Generation, CJNG. Territory? The West, mainly the Tierra Caliente region. The Jalisco Cartel, which was established in or around 2010, is the Sinaloa's strongest and most vicious rival. The organization has rapidly spread throughout Mexico and is currently among the most powerful organized crime organizations in the nation. The estimated value of its assets is more than $20 billion, or 15.5 billion pounds. Ruben Oseguera, aka El Mencho, the most sought man in Mexico and a former police officer, is the cartel's leader. The reward for his arrest? A cool $10 million. According to the U.S. authorities, one of the continent's major distributors of synthetic pharmaceuticals is the Jalisco Cartel. It is a major player on the black market for amphetamine in the U.S. and Europe and is rumored to have connections to the Asian drug trade. Recent years have seen a significant increase in its authority, which has been fueled by its use of severe violence. According to the U.S.-based geopolitical analysis company Stratfor, it continues to be the most aggressive cartel in Mexico. The ongoing wave of violence plaguing Tijuana, Juarez, Guanajuato, and Mexico City is largely the result of its efforts to increase its area of influence. In fact, the cartel has become well known for a number of attacks on law enforcement and government figures. It has been known to hang the bodies of its victims from bridges to terrify its rivals. It has also used rocket-propelled grenades to bring down an army helicopter and kill dozens of state officials. Experts in the area predict that it will continue to grow. The Gulf Cartel. Territory? The Northeast, centered around the border state of Tamaulipas. One of Mexico's oldest organized crime organizations, its origins can be found in the 1980s. Around this period, it became well known for smuggling cocaine and marijuana into the U.S. It is also suspected of smuggling heroin and amphetamines, and it collaborated closely with Colombian gangs. The Gulf Cartel allegedly made billions of dollars annually from drug trafficking in the 1990s. In order to keep officials on its side, it engaged in political corruption and bribery to sustain this network. Juan Garca Abrego, the first Mexican drug lord to be listed among the FBI's 10 most wanted, served as the cartel's initial leader. He was apprehended in 1996 and given a life sentence in the U.S. Ociel Cardenas Guillen, his heir, expanded the cartel's military wing. He promoted a more violent strategy and attracted a number of dishonest Special Forces personnel. Eventually, the troops would turn traitor and start their own competing cartel. Cardenas was detained in 2003 and is currently incarcerated in the U.S. for 25 years. Ezequiel Cardenas Guillen, his brother and the cartel's top commander, was murdered in a confrontation with Mexican security forces in 2010. The cartel then broke up into numerous factions under various bosses. As a result, it is now weaker and fighting a nasty turf war with the Los Zetas cartel. Territory, also the Northeast. Corrupt members of a top-tier branch of Mexico's special forces created this organization. The head of the Gulf Cartel employed more than 30 former soldiers in the 1990s, but as was already mentioned, they split off and started their own organization in 2010. The two gangs then engaged in a bloody battle, especially in Mexico's northeast. The savagery of the Zetas, who frequently tortured and beheaded their captives, earned them a particularly bad reputation. The Zetas had reached the pinnacle of their strength by 2012. Overtaking their fierce rivals the Sinaloa, though was identified as the nation's largest drug gang, it was believed to be active in more than half of Mexico's states. Beyond narcotics, they started engaging in any form of criminal activity that would earn them money, such as cigarette trafficking and human trafficking. But later in 2012, a shootout with the Mexican Navy resulted in the death of one of its leaders. Miguel Angel Treviño Morales, his stand-in, was taken into custody. Omar Treviño Morales, his younger brother, took over but was also apprehended in 2015. This signaled the start of the cartel's demise. Analysis from Inside Crime, which tracks organized crime in the Americas, shows that the Zetas disintegrated due to a lack of leadership, which also allowed rival gangs to establish supremacy. The Jalisco cartel advanced to annex the Zetas' East Coast area, which caused the Zetas to lose ground. The gang has also been weakened by internal conflicts, but it is still a potentially harmful power. The world of organized crime is one of the darkness and shadows, where the strong prey on the weak and justice is nothing more than a distant dream. The cartels, in particular, have risen to the top of this brutal hierarchy, leaving a trail of blood and tears in their wake. Their leaders are some of the most ruthless and feared individuals on the planet, known for their brutal tactics and complete disregard for human life. They control vast networks of drugs, weapons, and money, and use their power to further their own ends, regardless of the cost to others. The cartels may have different leaders, but one thing is certain: their brutality knows no bounds. These bosses hold power over life and death, leaving destruction and fear in their wake. They are the epitome of corruption and greed, a dangerous force to be reckoned with. The fight against them must continue until justice is served and the people can live in peace.